Back here on CBS Sports HQ, Week 15 in the NFL will be here before we know it, and we have some major playoff implications on the line for Week 15, and a lot of big matchups on CBS. So Sunday's going to be the first day this century that the same network is airing teams that have won 10 or more games on the same day. So the last time that happened was 1999. I think I was 7 years old, just like holding stuff down in first grade. We have an all AFC North matchup with the Ravens and the Bengals. The Ravens still trying to claw their way up to the top of the division, even though they just lost that head-to-head with the Steelers. Jags trying to extend their lead in the AFC South against the Jets. You have the Pats taking on a Bills squad that's won 2 in a row. And getting a look at the playoff picture in the AFC currently. Of course, we have the Broncos, the Patriots, both teams sitting at 11-2, the 1-2 seeds respectfully. And then we have the Jags, who just beat the Colts. Now they're 9-4. They move up to the 3 seed in the AFC. And the Steelers sitting at 7-6 as the 4 seed. The Colts, Ravens, Chiefs on the outside looking in. All right, we have our GM, Rand Carthon, here with us on set to talk about all the exciting matchups, and we are starting with the Patriots because for so long it has looked like it is this Patriots team's division to lose. Still technically the case, but this is a Bills squad, Rand, that has won 2 in a row. They survived Cincinnati, those Bengals, in the snow again. So how can the Patriots kind of stave off this Bills squad that is trying to come for the division and retake it once again?
They just have to continue to play their style of football, which has worked really, really well for them this year, and just run the offense through Drake May, and then the defense just has to continue to build a wall up front and stop the run. I know contrary to what Lige Douzable thinks about how this Buffalo Bills should run, everything needs to flow through Josh Allen. As great as James Cook is and as explosive as he is, we saw the difference that Josh Allen can make. Obviously with his arm, he was 22 of 28 throwing yesterday, but the damage that he was able to do with his legs, especially in gotta-have-it moments. He had the big 30-plus yard touchdown run, and then he had the big run on 3rd and 15 to ice the game, all with his legs. And so him being able to run the football through the course of playing quarterback is really what's going to cause the most damage as they go down the stretch. But this is going to be a key matchup, because if you're New England, what other way would you rather have than have the playoffs run through Foxborough? Absolutely.
So really quickly before we move on, who do you think wins the AFC East when it's all said and done?
I think when it's all said and done, and I'm looking at it here in front of me, I'm still going to roll with New England. I mean, I'm basing this off a remaining schedule. If you're New England, you have Buffalo at home, you're at Baltimore, you're at the Jets, and then you close out against Miami. But then if you look at Buffalo's schedule, at New England, at Cleveland, you have Philly, and then you have the Jets. And I think, again, I think with the Cleveland Browns, they have a championship-level defense. I think the offense is kind of starting to figure things out, except for when they have to go for the extra point and the 2-point conversion. They're working on that part. We'll get there this week. But I think this is a team that could be dangerous, that can create some that can spoil some teams' seasons down the stretch.
Okay, so the Patriots, one of those teams we talked about that has won 10 in a row. The Broncos have also won 10 in a row. And in the midst of this 10-game win streak, they're facing a Packers squad that looks like everything is firing on all cylinders. They just beat their divisional rival, and now they're sitting on top of the NFC North. So if you are the Broncos, just how tough of a test is this Packers team right now, who's also on a win streak of their own? They won 4 straight.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough test, because you look at the way this Green Bay Packers offense is built. They have weapons galore at receiver. They can pick a different guy every week to be the key guy. And then you also have Josh Jacobs, who we hope to start to get healthy here, and what he can do in the ground game. We saw him ice the game for Green Bay yesterday. But if you're Denver, no matter what, because of this defense you have and the way that they're able to get pressure on the quarterback, and they can do that with their front four, which I think is going to be pivotal. And as we see here, they're within earshot of being able to break this all-time record, as we see there 72 sacks by the 84 the 84 Bears. But this Denver Broncos defense currently has 55 sacks. That's 11 more than the second-place team, which is Cleveland at 44. And also, again, going against this Green Bay team that has weapons galore, that likes to throw the ball up and down the yard, if you're able to create pressure with your front four, which Denver is able to, then now that allows you to play coverage on the back end. And who do you have at corner? Only the reigning defensive player of the year and probably the best corner in the game, and Patrick Surtain. And so whomever they feel like they can match Surtain up to follow him around, that completely takes that guy off the field, and then they're able to help out Riley Moss with whoever else they have out there in coverage.
I remember to start the season, maybe not to start, but maybe 6-7 games in, we were drawing comparisons from this defense to the '84 Bears, and some analysts were like, you got to pump the brakes. But I don't know, if they get to that number of sacks, do you think it's fair to draw some more comparisons? I feel like you're not in it.
Still got to pump your brakes. It's a different time, different era in terms of the amount of attempts that these pass rushers are seeing now comparative to 1984. But then you look at that '85 Bears team. Like, how many Hall of Famers, how many gold jackets were on that defense? I don't know how many are necessarily on this Green Bay Packers team. You have one guy who has the potential to be a gold jacket in Patrick Surtain, but Jacqueline, we're just going to pump the brakes.
Yeah, I always like to stir that up because I feel like people are very passionate about drawing those comparisons. All right, let's get to the Chiefs because they are below 500 this late in the season for the first time in a really long time, and they're on the outside looking in. I still can't get over the fact that they have the same record as the Miami Dolphins. We have to keep checking that as well. That's insane. But we know they have to win out if they want any shot at making the playoffs. Plus 370 to make the playoffs, which I haven't seen plus money for the Chiefs to make the playoffs in a really long time as well. And that first test is the 8-4 Chargers on CBS. So just how tough of a matchup, especially because it's in the division, how tough is that going to be for KC to pull out a win here?
Well, we have to remember that the Chargers beat KC
week one.
Earlier this season. I don't think they're going to finish below 500 on the year. I think they have winnable games here. However, it's going to be a tough road for them to get into this playoff picture. Now, the only way that they can really force their way into this playoff picture is if we look at this Chargers team and hope that the Chargers continue to go backwards, which I kind of feel like they are, because if you look at the Chargers' remaining schedule, you have Philly tonight, which is going to be a tough test. Then you're at KC, at Dallas. You got Houston, then at Denver. All those teams that we just named have something to play for, and they have, whether it's the division championship or a playoff spot. So all those teams have something to play for. We'll see what it looks like in Week 18 if you're Denver, and if they're still in the hunt to have the #1 seed, and if they're going to play everyone. But all their teams on their remaining schedule have something to play for, and that's going to be a really tough matchup for the Los Angeles Chargers.
Do you think that KC gets into the postseason at this point?
I'll say this much, and I kind of said it, so I'm repeating myself, because I felt like whoever won the game last night with KC and Houston would be the playoff team.
Right.
But again, with this Chargers remaining schedule, the way they're beat up on the offensive front, and all those teams that we just named, Philly, Kansas City, Dallas, Houston, Denver, all of those guys can get after the quarterback. So I think KC still has a shot.
Okay, let's go to the Ravens because obviously they lose to the Steelers. Something about the Ravens and the Steelers, or Lamar Jackson, just struggles sometimes against Pittsburgh. I know he's not 100% healthy right now. Their playoff hopes are down to 23% after that loss. Now they're going to Cincinnati to face the Bengals. Do the Ravens get in when you're starting with this down the stretch?
I have been a believer that they were starting a trend. I thought getting Lamar back would really help them, really ignite them and get them going. But looking at their remaining schedule, 3 out of their last 4 games are on the road.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it is with Lamar right now. He just does not look the same. He does not look like he wants to put the ball on the ground and run and use what really makes him dangerous. So I'm going to say no, Jacqueline. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers, with a remaining schedule of the Dolphins, they're at Detroit, you're at Cleveland, and you close out with Baltimore. I think they're going to have enough to get in and be the representative in the AFC North.
And the Steelers, minus 155, we see it there to win the division. Let's go to the AFC South because, of course, the Jags look dominant and great for them. But on the flip side, some heartbreaking news for Indy. Daniel Jones out for the season, and he has torn his Achilles there. So a 2-part question for you. The Jags, what is your confidence level that Liam Cohen can keep this squad on this upwards trajectory? Because we've seen a Jekyll and Hyde of this Jags team. And then also for the Colts, what do they do at quarterback?
Well, let's start with the Jags. I think Liam Cohen, he should be in the conversation for Coach of the Year. I think coming into the season, no one had the Jags in this position to not only be a playoff team, but be in contention to win the division. No one had that. And so what Liam Cohen has been able to do, as well as James Gladstone and Tony Boselli, they've been able to create a culture and a standard of winning, and they're doing so. But they have a tough remaining schedule. They have the Jets. You're at Denver. You're at Indy, and then you close out with Tennessee. And Tennessee's record is 2-11. But the way this defense is playing right now, they're getting after people, and they're playing a physical brand of football. So that game is always interesting in and of itself. But then you talk about the Indianapolis Colts, who were already on a 2-game losing streak coming into the game with Daniel Jones, and now it extends to a 3-game losing streak. And then you close out the season at Seattle, San Francisco, Jacksonville, and Houston. That's just going to be tough for them to overcome. I think Riley Leonard will maintain the starting spot at least this week. I think there's some room in there for Anthony Richardson to return to practice, return to workouts, or, over the next week or two, and we'll see where that goes. But if it's just Riley Leonard, I think it's I'm going to use Pete Prisco's words. It's over. It's over.
You're taking the shovel out, as Pete loves to do. And also, really quickly, Riley Leonard dealing with knee soreness. That news coming down, and he is hopeful to be out there and playing on Sunday. Rand, we certainly appreciate it. And there we go. Rand, you can catch Rand, Pete, Damian, and Haley Sutton on Game Day Recap. You guys are always having so much fun on Sunday nights.
Jacqueline, you got to come join us one weekend. It's a fun show. Again, as long as you can make fun of Pete Prisco, that's the funnest, most fun part of the whole show.
Yeah. Okay. So the invite is extended for me to come on and make fun of Pete Prisco. So I'm going to talk to the bosses and try and make it happen, Rand.
Our next thing is we want to get a positive bunny like the Eagles. We want to try to get a blow up in here for
positivity.
Yeah, get one in here for Pete when he goes off on one of his rants.
I'm sure he'll love that.